Here are my top gifts for guitars, and we're going to start off from the cheaper side of things to the more expensive side of things. These are all items that I have used personally and continue to use pretty much daily in my guitar workflow that I know will be great for any guitarist in your life, whether that's you or someone else. A quick mention, none of these things are sponsored, but there are some links below that are affiliate links. None of these companies asked me to present these. These are things that I use, and there's some affiliate links that help support the channel if you decide to purchase any of these. Let's get started. So the very first thing I would recommend that you could buy for pretty much anyone is some new picks, some fresh picks. Super cheap, $3.99. I like using Fender heavy picks, and I tend to use the smooth edge of them. I think you can't go wrong with Fender medium picks for anything, and you can get some cool, fresh styles. Guitars always need new picks. Next up, $9.99, the iRepertoire app. And this is actually an app that I created and developed this last summer, and it's meant to help any musician that wants to refresh and keep updated all of their songs in their repertoire. So you can create different playlists. It will use a spaced repetition algorithm to recommend which song you should work on next. You can keep track of your practice streak and some stats on practice. It's got a lot of great features, very cheap on the iPhone. It's only for iPhone, $9.99. You can check it below. Number 3 is the book Mastery by Robert Greene. Let's catch the light here, $13.99. And I think he says it best here. Learn from the masters. Ultimate form of power is mastery itself. This has some great stories, some actual practical advice on how to master your instrument. He even mentioned some great musicians in here like John Coltrane. It's such a fun read and very, very practical. I'm sure whoever you buy this for will love it. Next up, we have the Real Book Enhanced. So this is from David Hazeltine. Now, a musician in your life probably has the regular Real Book. This enhanced version has some more interesting chord changes, substitutions, reharmonizations that can really, really expand from just a basic way of playing through these songs. So even if the musician in your life is not a jazz musician, there's a lot to learn from this. It's been really great. This was actually recommended to me and members of Chase Guitar Academy from Rodney Jones. And so we've been checking it out as well. I know you'll love it. After that, the last one in our books is this book called Get Better at Anything by Scott Young. He also has a book called Ultra Learning, not technically on this list, but I also love that. And this is in that theme of mastery, 12 maxims for mastery, obviously how to get better at anything. This one had a lot of great practical advice. I don't know if you can see how many pages I dog-eared from this. So many good tips on how to actually improve. It applies very, very specifically to being a musician. For example, I just opened it up here. Takeaway number 2, abstract skills require concrete examples. So providing lots of examples is more likely to ensure students generalize a principle. He continues on from there. There's a lot of great takeaways from this. Again, another one you'll love. Moving on, I recommend everybody get this D'Addario Micro Tuner. I actually just recently bought 3 of these. That's why this one's still in the package. And I put them on my guitars. That's the one for this one, but on all my guitars. The thing I like about this is it's such a small form factor. So a lot of these ones that are clip-on tuners, like the Snarks, like they really hang over the guitar head. And I think it looks so bad. But this little guy, you see how tiny it is? And it's black. You can actually put it so it's behind, so it hides behind the headstock. Let me just put it on my guitar right now. So you can put it on, especially if your headstock's black, you can put it on like this, and you just slide it, and then I turn it, and now I can read what the tuning is behind here, but you can't barely notice that this is even on. And so I think it's such a slick tuner. These are great. The only downside really is that because it's small, if it happens to fall off, it might be hard to find it, but I'm such a fan. Like I said, I bought a bunch more and I've used them for years. They're also relatively cheap, coming in at $19.99, so less than $20. Again, that's why I bought 3 of them. I think all of your guitars should have that, so whichever guitar you grab for a performance, you always have a tuner with you. It's always a great idea. All right, the next one is kind of an interesting one, and that is this electrical spray Deoxit D5. This is like magic. This is secret sauce. This is, I'm giving you guys some real tip right here. This thing, it says dissolves corrosion, improves contact, protects surfaces. Let me tell you why you get this. This comes in at $23 on Amazon, and it will save you a ton of money. I've had this same bottle for years. Any sort of contact that's metal, it will improve that connection. So this means your guitar jack stops working. You spray a little bit in there, you wait a second, you operate the jack, meaning you plug it in, and then you turn it on. Magic, it works. It saved me on so many things where either the guitar jack doesn't work, the amp jack doesn't work, or even your phone. I use this in the plug. You know, sometimes your phone will stop charging. You can use it in that. Any sort of electronic. Obviously read the instructions. Don't blame me if you ruin your device. But I've used it on my guitar jacks, amp jacks, and my iPhone has saved me from a ton of hassle. Saved me from having to even take it into the Amtech in the first place. So this is such a good investment, $23. I've been using it for years, same bottle. So I'm putting you on some game right now. All right, next up is we have this guitar gizmo, which is like a guitar tool I keep in my kit. Now, the thing I'll say here is I'm actually not recommending this specific brand. There are a lot of reviews out there that some people have gotten poor quality ones. So the best one I've seen review-wise is an Ernie Ball one, and then I'll link that in the store that has all this. But you need some sort of guitar tool on you so that you can do very simple guitar adjustments, repairs. This has, you know, the classic screwdriver, Allen wrenches, wire cutter. So this has a little wire cutter in there, needle nose plier. Those are the main ones. This one also has a little attachment if you want to change your strings fast. It has like a string wrap thing, and it has a little light. But the Ernie Ball one looks great as well and has gotten tons of great reviews. So that's actually the only one on this list that I'm recommending, even though I haven't used it. The reviews seem way better, but you need some sort of guitar tool in your kit. Now let's talk about something to save your hearing. And this one has definitely saved my hearing, probably expanded my hearing for years. And this is, the ones I have are the Eargasm earplugs. There's a lot of different models, but you want earplugs that attach to your keychain. And this is super important. So these earplugs, because they're on my keychain, I always have them. So there's a lot of situations where you might want earplugs, but you're not gonna remember to bring them ahead of time. If it's a certain concert or whatever, when you have them on your keychain, you always have them. You can very easily identify, it's loud, let me put my earplugs in, I have them with me. So a lot of concerts that I go to where it is just too loud, we just saw like Chicago and Earth, Wind & Fire, a lot of different rock concerts, these become very valuable, and you'll save yourself a lot of tinnitus and just hassle in the long term. Buy a pair of these. It was like 46 bucks. This next gift is more of a fashion statement than a practical one, but I think a lot of guitarists will dig it. And that is getting a nicer guitar strap. So these ones are Ernie Ball, but you can look up D'Addario or Ernie Ball. You want a guitar strap that doesn't look like it's still the one that you've had when you first started playing as a teenager. This is a nice strap that matches with my guitar, right? The red and gold. So you might want a leather strap if that fits the vibe of your guitar. But just don't have a strap that is making it more uncomfortable to play the guitar and just doesn't look as nice and doesn't fit in with the aesthetic of the guitar that you're using. So again, Ernie Ball and D'Addario have some great options around 25 bucks that I think look good. Just upgrade your guitar strap. In one of my last videos, I talked about how I think about gear as either being a tool or a treasure. And when you think about the tool that you're using for the specific job, you wanna make sure it lasts a long time. You cannot find a better tool for this job than Mogami cables. I know they're expensive, but I've literally found and used this cable for about more than 10 years, probably 15 years at this point. And it still holds up, it still works great. You can tell the quality of the cable is still great. I've had other brands that are close in price, but then just fail. So no offense to Monster Cable or the cables in that sort of price range, even though they are starting to approach Mogami prices, I just haven't found them as good. Mogami also has this lifetime guarantee deal, which apparently is very, very good. If the cable breaks, you can basically get it replaced for free. I've never had to use that because the cables are great. Usually as a performer, I recommend getting a cable that's, you know, somewhere in the range of 15 to 25 feet. Might be a little bit long. A couple of these I could probably do with a 10-foot cable, but I wouldn't skimp on the cable. You don't want to have that be an issue when you're even diagnosing problems. Like, I always know if I have an issue with my amp, some weird sounds coming out, I know it's not the cable. It's either my guitar or it's an issue with the amp, because this cable is so good. The next gift on this list, I don't physically have here. I had grabbed it and then lost it, but it's the Fender Micro, Mustang Micro. And it's basically a little amp that you can plug in your guitar and then have headphones for, right? So it's not actually amplifying out to anyone else, but you can adjust the sound and have all of the features that you need to get a good sound using headphones. And I used this on some trips when I was, last year I did a gig in New York City for New Year's, and you know, I needed to practice a few things that we were going to be playing, and I was on my Telecaster, right? So I couldn't really hear it acoustically. And I plugged that in and it sounded great. I could practice in the airport for a few hours, and it was a great way to pass the time, especially in the airport. So if you travel a lot or you move around with your guitar and you find yourself in situations where you would like to have an amplifier but can't actually play out loud, I found this Fender Mustang Micro was really good. I had the first version. Apparently this next version's even better. Has a little LED screen and things like that. So I'm sure it's great. I was trying to find it before filming this video, but have not. So I'll be doing that after this. All right, moving on to some more gifts. Next, we have a Chase's Guitar Academy gift certificate. And this one's really special. So it's an annual gift certificate you can purchase for yourself or for someone else in your life that will start on January 1st. So you can buy this for the holidays, and it doesn't start the membership before you give it to the person you want to give as a gift. And it only is for 1 year, right? So there's no automatic annual renewal, such that if you buy this for someone, you don't have to worry about getting charged again. Their membership will end after a year. If they want to re-sign up at that time, then they could, but you won't be charged for buying it. So CGA gift certificate, you can check the link below for that as well. Next, we have the Eros Loop Studio, this guy. Now I do have an affiliate link for this that you would use, and I think you get 10% off, and then I get some commission off that. I think the same, 10% commission. This Loop Studio is the best one. I've used a bunch. I have other ones. Let me grab it real quick. The Nux Loop Core. This is a piece of crap. Don't buy this. And I've used other solutions for loop pedals, but this is by far the best option. It's heavy duty. You can save different loops in here. It loops for a long time. So especially as a jazz musician, if I'm playing a solo gig or a duo gig with a singer, and we need to loop a long chorus or a long section, it does this very easily. I love it has like a visual aspect too, where you can see the waveform, different sections. There's a lot of things you can do with this, but it just by far is the best one. And that's reflected in the price. But if you want to have a loop studio, you cannot do better than this. So if looping is something that you want to do, again, either solo or duo gigs, I use this a ton. Check it out. Eros Loop Studio from Singular Sound. And last up, we have the Line 6 HX Stomp. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. This has replaced my entire pedal board, which now sits over there. And I will tell you why. There's a few reasons. First of all, functionality-wise, it is so much better to use for the kind of gigs I use pedals for, right? So we just did a wedding gig, and we had a bunch of different types of songs, different genres, some that need chorus, some distortion, some clean, some funk, whatever, a bunch of stuff, synth even. If I was on my regular pedal, I'd have to be hitting a bunch of pedals all at once, which is not always possible. Sometimes the song ends, and then I immediately have to start, I'm talking within like 3 seconds, immediately have to start the next one. and it could have a whole different set of effects that I need. That would be so frustrating and difficult, maybe even impossible to do with a regular pedal board. With this, you can have all of those pedals change with just literally click of the button. So that's very, very good as a gigging musician. If you're more someone who just likes experimenting with different effects and playing with those different effects in your home studio, it has a lot of effects on here, way more than you would be working with, way more than I have as an actual pedal board. You can get presets from people. Like I've been messing around with different jazz guitar presets and presets I've downloaded online that are really, really accurate. So you can always download those kind of things and just play around either on the pedal itself or hooked up to your computer and really tweak and design exactly the sound you want, exactly the amps you want. Another feature on here, which luckily I haven't had to use, is the amp sounds are really good. So say my amp died on me in the middle of the gig. This is a backup. I can make sure that I'm going through this and I get pretty close to an amp sound for my Hot Rod Deluxe, different ones. If I end up having to go through a PA and use in-ears or whatever, something happens where I can't use my amp, I can get much closer to a good sound using this than if I all of a sudden had to go direct in. So that's something I'm using this as a possible backup in case something happens with my amp, because I do use tube amps and I've had, unfortunately, a lot of situations where my amp dies on the gig, in the middle of the gig, and it's a nightmare. So this is a backup and it's also an improvement in my current pedal situation. So that's the last thing on my gift guide. Again, use the links below. It helps support the channel. There's links for all of the Chase Guitar Academy stuff, iRepertoire app. The majority of these things are in an Amazon gift store. You can check that link out. Thanks for supporting the channel. Hope you guys enjoy these gifts, all different price ranges. I'm sure there's something here that you will find that you will love. Thanks for tuning in.